may vary from one to another online program. So I hope I would be able to connect with you all and satisfy your curiosity. And I sincerely hope that your spending of time would be fruitful. So now let's quickly get into the lecture. So I'm sharing my screen. Okay, the screen is visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So the title of my talk is Types of Research Papers and Publications. So as I have mentioned in the beginning itself, I understand that participants are from different levels of expertise. I couldn't get you, please. Can you repeat?
Full screen.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Yes, I did full screen, so I think you will be able to see it full screen. It's taking a while to catch up, but then I have made it full screen on my system. Now,
You can select slideshow.
I have done it on my computer, which I'm operating. I think for you to get the transmitter, I think the network is weak and it is taking a while.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So the title of my paper is Types of Research Papers and Publications. So as I had said in the beginning itself, I believe for some of you people who are quite experienced in this particular field, you might feel that some of this information is already known to you, but I believe to the major part of the audience, the information would be useful. Okay. Just a minute. I'm moving my control screen, but then it's not changing over here.
Madam, it's better you take off your headphone because it's giving some noises. It's better you just take off your headphone because it's giving noises.
I'm sharing once again, so it looks like there is some issue with the full screen, so I'm sharing once again. I refresh my screen, and I think now it should be better. Yeah. So now we got it well. So I'm proceeding with my talk. So first of all, let's understand, when we talk about the publications, so primarily the scientific publications, how does the world see us, and across different countries, what is the global share of scientific publications? So as you could very well see from this picture, the country which is leading in scientific publications is China for many reasons, and followed by United States, and here we are in envious third position. So why I say envious third position is, despite our contribution to research as a part of our GDP is less than 30% of what USA spends on their research funding and also research support, still we are making a mark in the world of publication, and that is something which proves the determination of our academic and scientific community and our zeal to publish. Now, then we come to the next question. How influential can a publication be? Now, is it so very important, and is the publication really important in the big scientific world? Then I can say that yes, very, very important. Now, what are the examples that I would like to quote to say that publications are going to have a very strong influence on the academia and the research? So the very first point, if I say we create the first billion-dollar industry in a budding field of science, does it ring a bell to anybody? Have you heard of any one publication that has actually marked the beginning of biotechnology in the Silicon Valley? Anybody? Am I audible?
Yeah, we are not audible. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, I just put the question, first point, which says that if I say publication is enough to initiate the first billion industry in a budding field of science like biotechnology, how many of you would agree with me, and how many of you can believe it?
Ma'am, your voice
Yes?
is breaking. Your voice is breaking actually.
Am I able to pass across my question, or I'm not audible?
Yeah, now it is okay. Now it is audible.
It's better, madam. You just speak without headphone. I think it's better. Your headphone has got some
Okay, I
problem.
speak
Just
without
take
the
it.
headphone.
Yeah, other participants,
Okay.
you can mute. Other participants
So,
can mute.
am I audible now?
Now we are. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
My
Yes, yes, yes.
phones. Can you hear me now?
Madam, yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
And you can carry on.
Yes.
Any problem, we'll let you know. Carry
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
I request other participants to kindly mute their mics and can you confirm if I'm audible, please?
Ma'am, you can start, ma'am. It's everybody is muted. You can start.
Okay. So I would appreciate an interactive session. So if anybody would like to pitch in between and would like to ask a question, I'm open for it. But still, I leave it to the organizers whether they would allow a question in between the session or they would like to take all the questions at the end. So now continuing with my lecture. So it is, I say that a publication can be so important that it can be the initiator for a company. So the case example which I'm going to take over here is the publication by Carey Muller, who has been the inventor of PCR, the famous polymerase chain reaction, and that publication has actually become the central point of the very first biotechnology company to be started in Silicon Valley. Now, if you take a very recent example, so I believe a lot of you people are aware of this very famously unfamous publication by Lancet. Now, this Lancet is a publisher and they have published a study which is about the utilization, the trials utilizing hydroxychloroquine as a drug, a possible drug for COVID-19, and within less than 12 days of its publication, the publication has garnered so much amount of international visibility that the WHO had to step in, and Indian ICMR had also have to respond to what the publication is claiming for. So this tells you that a publication can be very, very important and it can be very influential at the same time. Now, what are the big names in publication? Now, let us say you want to publish your work. So, what are the publishers whom you can believe for safe and ethical kind of publications? So here a list of publications and publishers who have, and by far it is Elsevier, Springer, Wiley, and Nature Sciences which take the big league in this publication world. Now, you all must have heard, those of you who are already into publishing, you must have heard that it's important that you should publish in a journal or a space where the journal is indexed. The question comes, now what is the meaning of this indexing? And why is it that you prefer an indexed journal over a non-indexed journal? So this particular graphic shows you uh, the ratio of different publishers who have got their journals indexed by Scopus, which is a very respected indexing platform. And if a journal is indexed by Scopus, you can fairly believe that it is an ethical and fair publication journal. So when you are starting your journey with publications, it's important to know that who are the publications that you could target, or who are the publishers that you could post your publication at, and also now
దాంతగా ఫోన్
this picture,
ఫోన్ ఇచ్చా ఫోన్ తీసుకోండి
say someone has something to say. Yes, is there a question or I continue?
Ma'am, you can.
Please.
I request the participants to kindly mute his microphone. As an organizer, if I mute, even the speaker will be muted. I request you all to kindly mute your phone so that the speaker can deliver her speak. I request all the participants. Thank you. Ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. So this particular slide shows you why it is, when you have your publication in an indexed journal, what would be the impact of it as against a publication where it is not indexed. So you see that when you go for Scopus indexed publications, you have got the citation index, the proportion of downloads. What you are seeing at the bottom is the proportion of downloads are coherent with the whether your publication is indexed or not. And also this particular graphic shows you the relative proportion of different fields of science in indexed, Scopus indexed journals. Now coming to the main topic of my talk, what are the types of research publications? So there are many types of research publications like what you are seeing here. So you have got a book, a journal article, a case study report, a research report, a conference proceeding, a graduate project thesis, a practical handbook, and also a doctoral thesis. So you have got multiple types of publications, and these publications are okay. So these multiple types of publications have got their own limitations, their own boundaries, and their own set of rules. So now let us understand, if you are going for a book publication, how is that different to a journal publication, and how a journal publication is different with a case study report, and so on and so forth. So if you are publishing a book, so you should understand that a book is basically a monograph wherein you are trying to collate the works which are all related to one domain or one area or one subset of specialization. So this book can be a reference book, or this book can be a textbook. So either ways, it is a monograph, and most often than not, it is focused on a particular subject area. Now next comes a journal article. Now what's a journal article? So all of you must have, in your career must have seen a full-length research article, a short communication or a short article, and a review article. Now how does all these types of publications differ from one to another? Now a full-length research article is something which is a total embodiment of your complete work. So now, when you are going for representation, so needless to say that it should have a very calculated approach, a clear experimental design, and well justifiable methods and protocols that are followed to derive your information. And also you need to compare your results with already published literature, and then you have to present your findings. So all of this is contained in a full-length research article. Now a review article is quite different from a research article. Now how is it different? It is different in the sense that a review article really be your own work. It can relate to, and it is preferably related to expertise. Obviously, output is going to be better rather than venturing into an unknown domain. But then a review article is a collation of information that is already in the scientific domain, and you are sourcing in multiple types of information, and it is not just collation, but it also involves giving it a structure, giving it your viewpoint, evolving a concept, and also presenting the findings in a manner that you will be able to help the reader to identify the open questions that are present or existing in that particular area, and you are also helping the reader to identify the potential areas of research in that particular domain. So if your review article can do that, then you can believe that you are successful in making a review article. Then the third type of journal article which you are seeing here is a short communication. Now what is a short communication? You can say that it is simply a subset of your full-length journal article. So in your short communication, you have all the fields like a full-length article, but then there is a limitation on the number of pages, the number of figures, and also the number of illustrations that you can give in the short communication. Now next is your case study report. Sometimes there are case study reports which are made. So you must be in the audience, you might be having some management students, some students who are pursuing their pharmacy studies, or some who are pursuing their medicine, or any other allied fields. So many, or legal, for example, somebody who is in the legal domain. So case study reports are very important for all these type of domains where you are presenting the information in a case study manner, and there are specified journals and publications which cater to the case studies. Then again, you have got other type of publications which are called as the research reports. Now, what are these research reports? Now, research reports can be, a report, a very short report where you are communicating a very important or a significant finding, where you are not divulging the complete information, but you are providing some partial information which is important for the reader to connect with the importance of your work. Then you have got your conference proceedings. Now, conference proceedings can be a collection of small articles, a collection of posters, a collection of PowerPoint presentations which are presented at a particular conference. Now, coming to the next one, which is a graduate project thesis. Now, what is graduate project thesis? So all of you, sir, many of you must be students who are pursuing their undergraduate degree, master's degree, or MPhil, or your doctoral degree. So for doctoral thesis, of course, I have had a separate heading as doctoral thesis, but these days for many of technical and non-technical graduate and undergraduate programs, a graduate project thesis or dissertation is very important. So that is also another type of publication. Then again, there is another kind of a publication which is called as a practical handbook. So these days, particularly when you are taking these online courses, so there are some virtual laboratories also which are held online, and these virtual laboratories require the development of online handbooks or practical handbooks. So that is also one type of publication that you can make. Now going ahead, now how are you going to write a paper? So what are the nitty-gritties of writing a paper, or what goes into writing a paper? So there are some quintessential questions you face when you begin with writing a paper. So the first question which comes to your mind is what to publish, then why to publish, then again when to publish and when not to publish, and then again if you have decided to publish, then where to publish and how to publish. So these are a set of questions which I believe each and every individual who is making a decision to write is going to face. Now let us answer these questions one by one. What to publish? So what to publish depends upon what is the audience that you are targeting. So are you targeting a research audience, or are you targeting a class for which you want to develop a class material? Yes? Someone has a question?
Please carry on, ma'am.
Okay, so then I'm talking about what to publish. So what to publish greatly depends upon what is the audience to whom you are intending to publish. Then the next question comes, why publish? So why publish? Many a times it is a misguided thought that publication is to make for a self-satisfaction, or to make your mark in the field, or to say that, to say who you are to the scientific world. But I don't agree with this particular definition. Why to publish is basically to say to the scientific world that you have a well verified scientific information which you intend to share with the larger part of the scientific world and validate your work, and also to add to the domain of knowledge in that particular area. So if your purpose is to add to the domain of knowledge, or then automatically you are going to be sincere about what you are publishing, and also you are going to be very careful about what you are going to publish. And the moment you have the sincerity and care towards what you are publishing, I am very confident that you will make the least number of mistakes, and which is very important. Then the question comes, when to publish and when not to publish. Now let us say you are a researcher and you are in the third year of your doctoral registration, and you would like to publish, but then your supervisor says, no, just hold on for a while, because I think your work is patentable. Then that is a very important caution that you should observe. If your work is about development of a product or a development of a technology which has got a potential market value, then you have to be very careful whether to publish at that point of time, or whether to patent first and then go for publication. So that is a very important decision which some of you will have to make at some point of your research career. Then another question which is closely followed over here, when not to publish. Now, when not to publish is, there are particular domains. Particularly, let us say you are working for a big pharmaceutical company, an international pharmaceutical company like Eli Lilly, Pfizer, or so on and so forth, and you are under a data confidential agreement with your company or industry or your enterprise. Then you have to be very careful that you should be following the proper channel when to publish and when not to publish. Otherwise, you might end up sacrificing your job, and also you might end up into some legalities. So you have to be careful, when to publish and when not to publish. Then again, the question comes, where to publish. So where to publish, I think this question I have answered in one of my earlier slides. It is, comfortable if you are publishing in a indexed, refereed, peer-reviewed journal, which has got a standing. So if you are publishing at that particular location, you can comfortably say that you are going in an ethically respectable manner and scientifically respectable manner. Then again, the last question, how to publish. Now, how to publish is, what is the modus operandi? How are you going to make your paper? So that is what is the next question. Now going ahead. Now, you have decided to publish. Now what is, you face the task of writing. So you sit before your computer, and then you would like that your mind has to process the language. You want a complete control on what you are writing. You want that the communication between your thought and what you put on your paper has to be seamless. And then you also want that your publication should come out in a very vibrant and successful manner. So that is how it is supposed to work. But many a times what happens is, there's an insecurity, there is a fear, there is a panic, there is a confusion, and many a times there is lack of motivation and also a hesitation. Here I would like to tell you something. If you think that how it usually works happens only with beginners, then you are very far from the truth. The truth is, irrespective of whatever is your level of experience and expertise, when you sit to write, there is a level of hesitation, and there is a level of confusion, not because you do not know what you are writing, but because you are not very clear whether the manner in which you are writing will relate to the audience or not. So this kind of hesitation is good, because this helps you to tread with caution, because like everywhere, arrogance is not going to work in publication. Overconfidence is not going to work in publication. So you have to be careful, and you have to be very choosy about how you write and what you write. Now, you have decided to publish, and you enter the minefield of publishing. Then you face all these points in front of you. How do you assess your work? How do you scrutinize your work? And how are you going to understand the peer review process? What will be the location of your publication, and whether your publication is going to be taken seriously or not seriously, how long your publication has to be, and how is somebody who is going to look at your paper evaluate your paper. Do you require a history of publications to enter into this publication domain? So you face this minefield. Now, what's the way ahead? The way ahead is to clearly understand the structure of a scientific paper. Now, like I have said in my earlier slides, there are multiple types of publications. There are book reviews, there are short communications, there are conference proceedings, there are dissertations. But because of time, I would like to take one example concisely, and that example is the structure of a scientific paper. Now, when you talk about a scientific paper like what I'm showing here is a marriage of evidences from original and published scientific literature. Only when you have a balance of these two things, like the wheels of a cart, then only you can make a convincing scientific publication. If not, then you are not going to make a very convincing publication. Now, what are these two wheels which are going to be very important, that are going to hold this cart of marriage? So one is the original component of your work, and the other is the published work, which you are going to utilize for reference purposes. Now, where does your original component of the work go? It goes like title, the title of the work. Of course, the title has to be written, or title has to communicate what is unique about your paper, because many a times you also must have seen, when you go into the Google Scholar or any other search domains, when you are searching for a publication, the first and foremost thing that you are going to read is the title of the paper. So if you cannot identify, if the title does not the paper is containing, then you are failing in writing your paper. Because even though your paper might be wonderful, if your title does not communicate the essence, then you cannot be successful in communicating to the or in enticing the reader to pick your paper and read. So title is very important. Then abstract. Now, abstract means so in many journals here it's called as abstract. In some journals they call it as a summary. So whatever it is, abstract is what it is. That means these days the journals are asking two types of abstracts. One is an informative abstract and the other is an indicative abstract. So the indicative abstract is a figurative or infographic based kind of an abstract, where you add pictures and you add graphics to show or to communicate what your paper is containing. Whereas an informative abstract is a traditional abstract where you give a brief summary of your work. Then the next component which is going to give the information is materials and methods. Now, materials and methods, this provides information about the techniques that you have used in the paper, the back references from where you have obtained these techniques, what materials you have used in your work, what tools you have used for your data analysis, your data recording, your data interpretation. So all of them are a part of your materials and methods. Then comes your results. So results have to be unbiased. So don't ever bias, look at the results in favor of your work. Present factual data. Don't incline the data in a biased manner, because that will drive the reader in the wrong direction. So this is the structure of the paper, where you have got the original component, and where is the published work component going to figure out in your research paper. So one is introduction. Now, what is the introduction serving in a paper, or how is an introduction different from an abstract? An introduction is basically presenting why your work is important and what is that particular knowledge which your paper is providing, which is previously not existing. That means you're establishing your argument with the reader why your paper is to be read, why they should be interested in reading your paper. So you have to establish the origin of your work, the purpose of your work, and also the significance of your work. So that comes in your introduction portion. So while writing introduction portion, you need to have a good understanding about the already published work in your particular domain. Then comes your discussion portion. So in discussion portion, you have to relate your results with published work. So mind you, one mistake which many beginners do is find references only of their results. Don't do that, okay? Because a negative result is also a result as long as you are able to provide a justifiable scientific explanation. So if you have a negative result, don't fringe from presenting it. In fact, I do not know how many of you are aware of it, but there is a journal which exclusively publishes negative results. That means those results which deviate from the null hypothesis. So negative results are very important and they have the place. And finally, bibliography or references. So do not forget or do not omit any of the work which you have used to refer in your paper. Okay, so it's very important to give the credit where it is due. So you have all the references. Now coming to what are the methodologies? Now let us say, okay, you are decided that you have to write the paper. Now you know how to write a paper. Now you have an understanding about the structure. Now the question comes, where is the data? How do I get the data? Or what data do I have? Or how or what is the sources from where I could get data? So I would like to tell you 50% of the data that you derive or the methodology that you follow. There are multiple methods. So you can have a correlational data analysis. You can have a casual comparative method. You can have a survey-based method. You can have an action-oriented method to get your data. You can have an ethnographic narrative, which is giving precedence to your data. You can use historical data. You can have some content and you can do your data analysis, and you can have experimental data or quasi-experimental data, or you have got a single subject data. So there can be different types of methodologies. There are qualitative research methods. There are quantitative research methods. I will not go into great explanation of all these methods because then I will be moving away from my topic. So, it suffices to say that there are
Ma'am, your sound is fumbling.
multiple methodologies scientifically proven.
Hello, ma'am.
And
Your sound is not clear.
scientifically. Is it better now?
Ma'am, please sound problem is there.
Am I audible? Yes.
Ma'am, please can you repeat this
Please keep
part
the
again? We are not able to hear it
mic.
properly.
Yeah.
You are unable to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. No clarity in your sound,
Can
ma'am.
I continue?
Ma'am, carry on.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
No, yeah.
Yes,
We can hear you.
yes.
Please continue.
Just repeat this topic.
Ma'am, please can you repeat methodologies?
Type of method.
Ma'am, please check your mouse.
Do you want me to reconnect?
Ma'am, voice is breaking. Voice is breaking.
Yes. Okay, I think now it is better.
Yes, ma'am, it is better now.
Yes, ma'am, you can carry on. You can carry on, ma'am.
Yeah. So like I said, there are different methodologies that help you obtain your data. So like I have said, there are qualitative research methods, there are quantitative research methods, and there are single subject studies, there are population studies, there are multivariate cohort studies, and there are surveys which give you data. So there are multiple methods, scientific methods to perform an experiment. Now, what tells you which methodology to follow is basically 50-50. I have given the ratio over here. So 50% is determined by what is the field of your study. For example, let us say you are a biotechnologist. Obviously, the readers would like to see real-time experimental data. At the same time, if you are a marketing researcher, market analyst, so then it's not a kind of a wet lab experiment that you are doing, but you are doing a survey based research or a market prediction based analysis. So what determines the methodology to follow is the field of study and also the feasibility. Many a times it might happen that your field of study requires that methodology are not enough to follow the methodology. Now let us say I'm a biotechnologist and I would like to do genetically engineered plant, but maybe my resources are limited and I may not have the financial backup to see me through all the regulatory controls and all the finance and funding for the research for 6 long years. So what is important is you have to see what is the feasible methodology and also what is the field of study. Now, then, so before getting into your actual work, you also have to see what is the scope, to what depth you would want to go in a particular publication. That depends upon what is the kind of publication that you are targeting. If it is a dissertation thesis, it requires a thorough study, in-depth study of literature. If it is a course assignment, it may not be as deep as a research thesis. So similarly, the scope of your publication, you will have to understand into doing this particular reviews or literature correction. Now, like I have said, if you are making a publication, particularly if your publication is your research thesis, you can consider literature review as the spine of your thesis. It is very, very important. So this particular infographic shows you what is the purpose of literature review. Now, you need to know what is happening in your field, who are working in the field, what are the latest advancements in the field, what are the results that can be useful to take you from point A to point B in your work. So all of it important for literature review. So this infographic shows you, why you have to do your literature review and how you have to do and what is the purpose of your literature review. Now, like I have said, depending upon the kind of publication that you are making, the manner in which you approach to literature will differ. Because the facts are the same, the literature is the same, the material that you are collecting is the same, but what is different? The approach is different and the interpretation is different. So that is what I have given over here. So you have to be comprehensive, you have to decide whether it is a standalone work, you have to be selective about what kind of work that you are using for literature review, and then you have to continue with your literature review. So this is all the variance in review, how literature review. Now we come to the data. So the data is your own data. That means the data that you have obtained from your experiments. Now this is very important for a researcher to be not emotional when they are making the decision to what to include in a research paper and what not to include. Because many a times what happens is, every data that we generate, it seems important to us, but maybe every data that we generate may not be as important to a reader. So you have to be very clear what is significant and what is not significant. So how will you know that? So apply a filter. So this filter, what is the filter? What is it filtering out? You have the complete data set. From the complete data set, you disentangle your emotional attachment to your data and look at the data by mapping it to the objectives and apply the rules of precision. Rules of precision means the statistical tools, the validation tools. So you do that, and whatever data you derive at the end of all of this is the data which is going to be useful for you. So you have to be very careful about what data should go into a paper and what data should not go into your paper. Now, then again, what comprises a data set, or what does a data set mean? So like I have said, data set means different things to different people. If you are a management graduate, data means different to you. If you are a law student, data means different to you. If you are a medical student, a pharmacy student, a biotechnology student, a social sciences student, the data and the data set means different to different individuals. So depending upon your domain, you have to be clear about the data representation which is appreciated in your particular area. So that is what is important thing. Now, what are the emerging trends and caution? Where is it that you have to be careful? First of all, these days there is a system of open access program or open choice program. Many a times these open access publications are charged. Sometimes these charges are very heavy also. So you have to make a decision whether you want to go for an open choice publication or not. So it depends upon whether you are financially sound or whether your institute supports open choice publication or whether the funding agency supports your publication charges. and whether the journal that you are choosing for open choice, whether it is indexed, ethical, respectable journal or not. So these you have to be cautious. Then there is something which is called as predatory publishing. Now, what is predatory publishing? These days, there are multiple journals which are cropping up, mushrooming, which they take some amount of money and publish your articles without peer review, without checking plagiarism, without following the ethics of scientific conduct. So please don't go for that predatory journals. Now there is a list of predatory journals which is provided on UGC site, University Grants Commission. So they have a list of CARE journals which tell you very clearly what are the predatory journals and what are the journals that you have to avoid. So be very careful about it. Then the next thing comes, the matters of copyright infringement and plagiarism. You have to be very clear when you are writing whether you are knowingly or unknowingly copying
Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
somebody
Excuse me, ma'am, we are not able to
else's
hear. Kindly
information.
repeat this slide.
Even if it is a small, this slide or the previous slide?
This one,
Breaking. This side.
This slide.
matter of
Okay.
copyright onwards, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm talking about predatory publishing. So predatory publishing is, there are some journals which are identified by University Grants Commission. There is a list of UGC CARE journals which are provided on the journal's website, which are identify predatory journals. So refrain from publishing in them because these journals publish without peer review, without the scientific conduct of ethics, which is not good on the long run. So you need to avoid predatory publishing. And then comes into the matters of copyright infringement and plagiarism. You have to be very careful even if you are writing a very small paragraph which is taken from someone else's work. You have to be sure that you are not infringing their copyright. So copyright infringement is a very serious offense, and you published the penalties for infringement, and the penalties are so severe that if you are a doctoral student, your registration might be cancelled. If you are a researcher, a faculty, your employment can be questionable. So you have to be very careful while you are writing a particular article that you are not plagiarizing and you are not doing any infringement. Another one is ghost authorship. Now, what is a ghost authorship? Ghost authorship means I take some information from some paper, I don't mention where I am taking that paper, so I implicate as if it is my work, which is not correct. So that is ghost authorship. So ghost authorship is very, very dangerous. Not
Excuse me, ma'am, your voice is breaking.
work, and you cannot
Discrepancy, madam. There's discrepancy. Her audio is not clear.
Yeah.
In your audio. Yeah.
I think the network issue, and I can
Really,
what
it's
I'm
breaking. Voice is breaking.
okay. I I repeat what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible now.
Okay. So ghost authorship, I'm talking about ghost authorship. Ghost authorship is you play invisible in the sense that you take the work of somebody else and you implicate as if that work is yours, whereas it is not yours. So that is ghost authorship, and it is very, very dangerous. Don't resort to that kind of activity. Now then we go for like now let us say, okay, you wrote your paper, you mailed your paper to the editor, and you are waiting for the editor to review your paper. So what is the process of peer review? So the process of peer review is just I would like to ask the questions to the organizers. One question please. Organizers, can you hear me? Can you tell me how much time I have? Because, I can cut short the information if there is not much time.
You have time till 1:15.
Okay.
You can wind up by 1. Have some 15 minutes for interaction.
Okay, then maybe I'll quickly pass through these slides. I will not go into greater explanation of these slides. I'll stop on the slides for a minute so you people read through and I'll answer questions.
Madam, my one sample request. Probably your PPTs, if it is shared to our email IDs, it will be of great use for us. It's very informative, so that it will be a kind of guidance for us. I wish that you can share your PPTs with our email IDs as a content.
Yeah, I would do that, sir. I would do that. Yeah. Okay. So coming to what all goes into a peer review process. Now, if you want that your paper should pass through the editor's desk, you have to think like an editor, like what you are holding in your hand as a paper, detach from it and think, if you are
Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
editor, how you are going to take this paper. So how that is a paper. See, whether the requirements are met. If it is not met, they will reject. If yes, I repeat myself. So if it meets to the journal requirements, it proceeds to the next step, and then it goes through a complete work of process wherein you finally either get your paper accepted or rejected, or it goes for further revisions. So when once the editor reaches to this decision, then they are going to inform to the author. So now moving to the next, which is what's a publisher's take on. That means when once your paper goes to the publisher, what are his responsibilities? How is he going to place your paper? How he or she is going to utilize your paper for the maximum benefit of the audience. So this is something which is about the publisher's take on your paper. Now, like I have said, the publication wheel changes from one type of field to another. To a IT management student, the publication wheel can be different. To a biotechnologist, the publication wheel can be totally different. So the different stages which you go through, that you are making a paper, make a plan, establish methods, write a code, conduct an experiment, collect the data, analyze, and prepare an article submission. So this is a simple wheel for an IT management graduate. Now, even after doing all this, even after being very, very careful about what you might receive a reject for your paper. Then stay cool. You know, it's normal to receive a rejection for a paper. So don't get motivated that it's the end of the career. So you have to understand what are the lessons you can learn from the reviewers' comments and then go ahead. Now, what are some tips? Some tips that I would like to give for your good. So what are the sources that you can bank upon when you are writing a paper? So there are some services, some online services, Nature Journal, Nature Research Editing Services, Reference Management Service by Mendeley, Springer English Language Support Services. Springer provides an option to choose the right journal, and Elsevier is a publisher which provides an author support program. Now then, so some points that will add in your favor. So refrain from data misrepresentation. Don't go for image tampering. It's very important. If you do that, it will become the weakness of your paper. Don't go into conflicting discussions, and don't resort to not giving rightful credit. If you do that, that will be a threat for your publication. So look at the strengths. A well-worded cover letter that you write for the editor is a very strong advertisement to put your paper across. Then what are the opportunities? Look for collaborative papers with inclusive content contribution. So these can be the strengths, the SWOT analysis. Now when you are writing an abstract, you have to be sure that, avoid verbose. Don't write words and words. Be succinct, be to the point, factual, and very precise in your presentation. So abstract is very important because that is what the reviewer will first study about your paper. Now, don't go into the loop of guest authorship unless otherwise you are very sure of where you are putting your name. I will quote an example where a very, very senior scientist, a professor whom you all must have heard, none less than MS Swaminathan himself, has gone into a plagiarism legal problem because one of his students has wrongly quoted his name above a plagiarized content. So just don't go into honorary or guest authorship unless otherwise you personally review the paper which you are sending. Then your data means something which is very important. Your data means data that is designed, executed, and derived based on a scientific method of experimentation. So everything you download from the internet is not your data. So don't get carried away by this kind of malpractices. Then ghost authorship. So I said, don't go for ghost authorship. It's very important that you have to be careful about what you are presenting. Then I now conclude. So this is my mail ID. This is my contact office number. And I'm open for questions. You can take a minute to note my contact details, and I'm available for questions now.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm a math student. No, I'm just worried about the methodology, and the most important thing is how to collect the data. Because as per my knowledge, we are just supposed to give another method to solve the Exactly. How to
There is
collect
some
and analyze the data.
background noise.
You are not audible, ma'am.
Audible, but if
Hello, ma'am, should I repeat?
air conditioning is okay. Yeah, you are a math student.
Hello.
Yes. You are a math student and are not clear about the methodology.
Not audible.
Sir, can I say?
Now, yeah, now participants can ask questions.
Hello.
Ma'am, shall I ask?
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, one by one, one by one.
Now, please kindly. I am Dr. Anil Kumar. Can I just ask my question, madam?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, I would like to just know about the impact factors. Even most of the national journals, and UGC listed journals, they give an impact factor as high as almost from say around 6.57. As I know that cannot be so high. Now they put it as an at the national level, the impact factor is so and so forth. Even the Nature and even the Elviser and the Springer, those journals, you see, the impact factor, you must be very well knowing. Now, how can you just consider these as an impact factor? Because when you are reporting for NAC, first question. Second question is that you have various equivalents for this impact factor, like Copernicus index value or another kind of calculations. So many other things they follow. Now, how can we just rate this paper? This is the thing. And another is the H index. That's my factor. Yeah, these three things. Kindly just let us know. Hope you heard my question, madam.
Okay, yeah, I got your question. So you are asking about the impact factor, and also you are asking about how to be sure about the quality of the paper, and also you said that there are multiple indexing platforms. So which one and where, what's the path? So yes, there's no doubt impact factor is something which is very catchy and something which is most often looked upon by researchers, by evaluators, by those who are on the panel of interviews, by those who are on the panel of your promotion or appraisals. I agree. But then impact factor is something which is a very subjective matter. So let us say a cancer research journal might have an impact factor as high as 10, but a similar quality paper in traditional biotechnology journal may have an impact factor which is as less as 1 or 1.5. So impact factor is something different things, and one thing which determines is the number of subscribers are for that particular journal. So in field means that for artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, the journal impact factors are high. But then if you are a biotechnologist and if you are publishing in ASM journals whose highest impact factor is only 4, but a domain expert will clearly know that your impact factor of 4 in an ASM journal is equivalent to another paper which is published in cancer biology at an impact factor of 12. So for a new person, they may get carried away by the impact factor, but a subject expert will not get carried away by it because they know what are the governing principles for the impact factor. Now coming to what are the different platforms which you can believe for impact factor. One is Thomson Reuters, then the Web of Science, then Sciendex. So these three are to be respected, and they have wider scientific acceptance. I believe I have answered your questions. So can I move to the next participant?
Yeah,
Ma'am,
ma'am, I'm a math student. I'm worried about the methodology, and the most important thing is how to collect the data. Because what I believe is we are supposed to give another method to solve the given examples. So what will be the type of data collection in our case for mathematics?
Okay, okay. So now, as I have said, what methodology you will follow is determined by two things, 50-50. So if I can take you to that slide of mine, I will just show you with respect to that slide. So this particular slide, which methodology to follow? So like I have said, if you are a mathematics student, now let us say, I don't know what is your actual topic in mathematics, but let us say you want to make
you.
Yes?
Yeah, it's a new method to solve assignment problem and transportation problem.
Okay, so you want to, let us say you want to develop a mathematical model, and this mathematical model at the end of it, you would like to like that your model should be able to maximum of confidence, the best mode of transportation, followed by second best, and so forth. Now let us say if that is the model you would like to develop. Now you can have a survey based analysis, you can have both a quantitative qualitative methodology, based approach, and you can have an industry based survey. That means you know what are all the industries which are in the transportation sector, and you make a guided scientific data collection. What is the what are the type of automobiles, what is the market receipt of their different models of transportation, what different type of models have the risk factors, what is the implication of the cost factor. You can talk to the transportation distributor industry, you can talk to the talk to in the sense you can communicate or you can collect the data from the Ministry of Transportation site, you can collect the data from the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, which talks about what are the vehicular norms, which are the transportation methods which are going to be followed in India, whether you are going to follow Euro 4 norms, Euro 5 norms, Euro 6 norms. So like that, there are multiple methods, there are multiple data sets, but what will tell you which to follow, which not to follow? 50% is what is the breadth of your objective. That means what do you want to prove at the end of it, whether the data that you have collected is sufficiently enough to prove your point of objective. So that is going to carry 50% of weightage. The second one is feasibility. What is the feasibility, which method you can perform given your domain of expertise, given your place where you are getting your education from, given your guidance, given your resources. These are all the feasibility factors. So 50% choice depends upon the feasibility, 50% choice depends upon the breadth of your objectives. And there are multiple methods. There are probabilistic methods, there are fuzzy logic based methods, there are neural network based methods, there are what do you call prediction, time-based prediction analysis methods. So there are multiple methods. Your objectives will define the breadth of your objectives, will define which method method to pick.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I am a medical student. I want to know at least two questions, ma'am. One is, ma'am, for short communication, if you want to report, what is the preferable size for that? Sample size for short communication. And second is, what is the general meaning of significant value or maybe p-value? And third one is best suitable the statistical software for data analysis in the medical sciences. These three questions from my side.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, your first question is you're a medical student, and
Yes.
what you are saying is what should go. What is the size of a short communication? So, like I have said, a short communication. If I can show that particular slide. Okay.
Yes.
So short communication is similar to a full-length article. The only difference is on a full-length article, there is no page limit. On a short communication, there is a page limit. For majority of the journals in published print, a short communication goes to a maximum of 3.5 to 4 pages. So 3.5 to 4 pages, including your references or bibliography. So 3 or 4 pages in a publication means in your Word document, it can be 15 to 20 pages. So it depends upon the font size, the formatting, the size of your figures, so on and so forth. Another thing, for a short communication, there is a limitation. You cannot give more than 2 pictures, not more than 1 or 2 tables, not more than 1 or 2 illustrations, and limited number of references. So you have to follow this, and you go to the author's guidelines on the journal. They will tell you precisely what is the page size, because it will vary slightly from one journal to another journal. Second, coming to your significance or the p-value. Now you must have seen sometimes the p-value as 0.01 or sometimes 0.05. Now what does it mean? It means that if it is 0.01, it means your data is true to type with a probability of 99%. That means you are leaving a chance of experimental error of 1%. Whereas if it is 0.05, it means your data is true to a probability of 95%. That means you are leaving 5% of chance to experimental variations. Now, what will tell you whether your data should be 99% probabilistic true or whether it is 95% probabilistic true? Now, let us say you are a medical student. Now, medical student, you are doing a clinical trial. In a clinical trial, you are doing a population study. So, in a population study, what happens? You cannot control every factor. So, you cannot control what the patient is eating. You cannot control what the patient is, where the patient is living. You cannot control whether the patient is following all instructions. So, the external factors which will determine your result are large. So, for that study, you allow 95% probability and 5% experimental variation. So, 95% is your paradigm. If you biochemical protocol you are working upon, there you have control, total control on your experiment. So you will have 9% probabilistic truth. So there, the chances of error cannot be more than 1%. So that is your second question. The third question, what you have said, what is your third question?
The third question was the best suitable statistical software for data analysis in medical science. It's CSS or maybe some other kind.
Yeah. So there are multiple statistical tools. There are online free tools also. So you have got Excel Stat, which is very useful for research students and research scientists. There is Sigma Stat, and Sigma Stat is a paid software. It is costly. There is a CoStat, which is also used particularly by agriculture scientists, because it is free of cost in many of the agricultural research institutions. So there are these are some examples, and there is another one. I am forgetting the name. There is another tool when it occurs to me. Yeah. These are the most common tools.
Hello.
Yeah, can I go to the next question, please?
Yes, hello, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. I have a question. I am a MPhil student in gender questions actually. All I want to know in this COVID situation, data collection is difficult for me. So for a gender study, what can be the best data collection process? And second question is, how many words in social science?
Just your voice is breaking, and I can't get your question. Can you repeat, please?
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Yeah, the earlier participant, I cannot listen clearly what she was asking. Maybe she can repeat.
Yes, ma'am. Hello. Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can tell me. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I am a MPhil scholar in gender studies. So I wanted to know, in this COVID situation, doing field work became difficult. What can be the best data collection process online? And my second question is, for a social science research student, for writing any journal or paper, the abstract should contain how many words maximum? And the third question, if you can throw a little more light on what case study process is in journal.
Okay. So you say you are a social sciences student. Now let us say, you would like to talk about a situation and you would like to relate it to COVID. Okay. Now there is this popular articles these days which are coming about. Even the speaker who has spoken, who has made his presentation just before me, he had showed you the picture of Delhi before lockdown, during lockdown, and after lockdown. Now, if that is the, let us say you would like to relate the pollution to the COVID situation. What are the best ways to go? So you will have to go to the sites which do authentic data collection work on weather statistics. So we have got the Weather Research Institute, which is in right across in Delhi. They have an online portal where they publish day-to-day levels, timely levels of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, particulate matter in all metropolitans and big towns in India. So you can have the data, you can have the temperature data, you can have the particulate matter data, you can have the weather data, you can take the wind velocity data, You can take, the data from institutions like CPCB, which is Central Pollution Control Board, which operates online data where they feed in the all, how much amount of toxic suspended matter in the air, so on and so forth. You can go to these state forestry department sites where they post what is the movement of transportation, how it is increasing, how it is how it has increased or decreased during the COVID situation, what is the impact. Just a day before, I was in a webinar which was made by CSE. CSE is Center for Science and Environment, and it's a wonderful talk where they have collated all the information. CSE is a valuable resource. They have an online journal, down to earth journal, which speaks about multiple social issues which are related to COVID. Like I have said, if you are a social sciences person, you are the most luckiest person, because these days the social platforms provide you access to every nook and corner of the world. So these days people are using even the social service platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, so on and so forth for data collection. They are using Google for data collection. Any question?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
I can't hear you.
Hello. Ma'am, what is the impact factor, I index and H index?
I couldn't get you, please. Can you repeat?
What is the impact factor, I index and H index?
Yeah, I think there was this question of Dr. Anil Kumar where I have answered these questions, the impact factor, H index and all. So I would not like to repeat the entire thing, but I would like to just say that this H index is something which not only depends upon the journal's impact factor, but also it depends upon the readership. That means citation index. That means how many people have quoted your work in their papers. So that is also a parameter which is used for H index. I suggest that there are online author helping sites by all leading publishers like Springer and Elsevier, and there they explain in detail how they calculate the psi index, how they calculate H index, how they calculate impact factor. So you have got this total formulae which are given, because it's an exhaustive process and different platforms use different formulae to arrive at them. But then the platforms that you should follow, like I have said, Thomson Reuters, Scopus, Web of Science, so or SciIndex. So these are the sites where you go, you understand how they calculate these H index impact factor, and you are on the go. Yeah, the next question, please.
Ma'am, one conditional question, please. Ma'am, like in a hospital, 5 pregnant women, they were corona positive. And when we see that biochemistry report, clinical report, it shows some variation with the normal, if you compare with the normal pregnant women. So these type of valuable results can be report in any journal in the form of short communication, because data is very limited, ma'am, hardly 5%.
Yeah. See, in your field, particularly when you are talking about patient-related data, I would like to tell you, just be very cautious. So this is the paper which I would like to put your thought on, the Lancet paper, and I hope you have heard about how much amount of sticky situation this Lancet paper has brought to the entire scientific community. Because in medicine, what is very important to conclude is the data size. What is the data size? If your data size is as small as 5, don't get carried away by it. Unless otherwise you have yourself confirmed that all the requirements for data collection are being followed. The population size, the population variation, the parameters that you are, whether it is a guided study or an unguided study, what is the cohort design, whether it is a random block design, there are multiple factors. And only when you are confident that you have done, you have taken enough sample size, there is least variation in the sample size, the variable factors are to the least possible, then only I suggest that you go for a publication, particularly in a COVID kind of a situation. Putting something with half evidenced information will drive you to a panic situation, and it will do more harm than good. But one thing I can suggest is, if you have an indicative result, if you have a very small result, rather than going to a conventional journal for publication, go to your Twitter handle, go to your LinkedIn handle, go to a blog, and then there you can post your thoughts, your preliminary results. You can say that this is what I am observing, and I in the sense you welcome suggestions, you welcome collaboration, you welcome guided research, so that if somebody who is doing an extensive research in your domain chances upon reading your work, they can collaborate with you. You can be a part of a bigger picture. You can make a more meaningful scientific study and then go for a proper publication. I think this is the advice which I would like to give.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Next question.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
What is case study method?
Case study method is, like I have said, if you are, let us say, come back to the pollution itself. Now, let us say you're a social sciences student and you want to do a case study based study on air pollution. So one of your case can be, you are studying in metropolitans, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, or Kolkata, or let us say you are doing case studies from 5 different locations, 5 different age group populations. Like for example, in your case study, you are seeing how the adults are impacted, how the infants are impacted, how pregnant women are impacted, how women are impacted, how men are impacted. So that is one type of a case study. Another type of a case study is how a metropolitan population is influenced, how a rural population is influenced, how a middle town population is influenced. Another kind of a case study can be how whether the pollution is related to the income group, whether the low income group, the middle income group, and the high income group, all of them are similarly impacted by the pollution, or the impact varies. So your study, the case, the purview that you are positioning your study can differ. It can be based upon the population structure, it can be based upon the financial status of a population, it can depend upon the location, metropolitan, small towns, so on and so forth. So these are all the different cases. So what you do in a case study report is, so you put together different types of the case studies, and then you derive your analysis and your understanding, and you propose a concept. So saying that given these conditions, you propose so and so. So these are an example of case study reports. Anything else?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Wonderful. Is there anyone else who would like to have a discussion? Sundhari ma'am. Is there any other participant who would like to question Dr. Sundhari ma'am?
Yes,
Yes,
hello, ma'am.
I'm open to
I
questions.
have a question. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. This is related to ethics committee. So, during publication, is it always necessary to produce the recommendation of ethical committee when you have human subject, even if you are not carrying out any experimentation or only or simply collecting personal data from concerned person consent?
See, if you are a person who is working in the field of medical sciences or pharmaceutical sciences, I suggest that you go through the guidelines of ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research.
Main professor ಇವರ ಅವ್ರು
Yeah,
ಕೂದಲೆಲ್ಲ
so they
ಮಂಡ್ಯ ಬಚ್ಕೊಂಡವ್ರು.
someone else is speaking. Can I have them muted, please? Okay, so you go through the guidelines of ICMR. They clearly tell you when to take ethical clearance, what type of studies call for ethical clearance certificates, and what type of studies can be exempted from ethical certification guidelines. So I suggest you go to ICMR, and there is another thing, so which is Department of Biotechnology, and there is another institution which is Department of Science and Technology. Both of them come under Ministry of Science, Government of India. So both these sites also have guidelines when to take ethical clearance. So I think if you go through these information, you will be clear when and how clearance.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You can note it down: ICMR, DBT, DST.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you,
And
ma'am.
there is another which is DRDO. There is another one which is Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, DSIR. So all these will give you guidelines.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, there are many research laboratories in India, just like the CSIR, ICR, ICMR, IARI. But how many research papers published in the Nature and the Cell Biology, the high impact factor?
I could not get your question properly.
Hello.
Yes, I can't get the
Hello,
question properly. Can you repeat, please?
Ma'am, actually, I want to know about the research facility provided by the India. There are many research laboratories working on the research. But the quality of the research paper not published just like the high impact factor journal, like the Nature, Science, Cell Biology, etc. Why? Very few paper published in such journals.
See,
Mr. Suresh, kindly be specific on your question.
All these research institutions, whether it is ICAR or IARI or any other research institution, they have institute specific appraisal norms which they follow to determine how many publications are expected, what is the the appraisal score which is expected at different levels of experience with the individuals. So I think this is an institute intrinsic phenomena.
Madam, how the research publication and the review article are considered?
Come again, how is the research?
Research article and the review article considered?
Considered means?
They will be valued in the same way, for example in the interview boards and all.
See, like for example, it depends where you are publishing. Like for example, there are some very reputed journals who take review articles only upon invitation. So there they specifically solicit a review article from experienced people in the field, and they are very, very respected review articles. Like for example, Nature Science Reviews. Nature Science Reviews is most coveted review article publication. It is a review, but it is no less than a scientific research article. But then, if you are wanting to make a review publication, review article, go to the journal site and see whether they accept non-solicited review articles or whether they accept only solicited review articles. Then you proceed with the review, and when you make a comparison between a research article and a review article, what the evaluator sees is what is the journal where you are publishing, what is the quality of that particular article, whether it is a Scopus indexed journal where you are publishing your review article. So if you are publishing your review article in open access, non-peer reviewed, paid journal, that is not going to have lot of importance. But on the contrary, as I said, there are very reputed review article journals also.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you can elaborate a little on the successful traits of writing a concrete proper abstract.
Come again, successful traits of?
Writing a proper abstract.
Yeah, see, rather than saying successful traits, what I should contain, what I should say is what should be essentially there in abstract. If you remember, I don't know whether I can go back to my screen share. If I can go to my screen share, yeah, so these are the 3 rules. Avoid being verbose, be succinct, factual and precise. If you are these 4, then you are writing a good abstract. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by being verbose? Like for example, if your abstract is containing 3 or 4 or 5 lines of introduction, you are losing the valuable space, because most of the journals have a word limit on abstract. The maximum word limit for abstracts is 800 to 1000 words. So if you are writing 4 to 5 sentences introduction portion in your abstract, you are losing the place for your results. So what is to be there? 1 line at the max to present the significance of the importance of your paper, how your paper is unique. 1 or 2 lines about what is the methodology you followed, what is unique about it. 2 or 3 lines about the most significant results that you have got, and 1 concluding line which is concluding your paper, showing the road ahead. If your abstract is containing these 4 things in a balanced manner, then your abstract is considered to be good. So don't any time produce non-factual information in abstract, and use less number of words to communicate a deeper meaning. So don't be verbose, be succinct, be factual and be precise. That's it. So abstract doesn't mean like this cartoon is representing abstract. It doesn't mean it is weird. Abstract means very concise. In the art world, abstract means different. Okay, whereas in a scientific world, abstract means totally different. So this is art.
Hello.
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 Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hello, madam.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. I am from history subject.
Come again. Can you repeat yourself what you're saying?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have one question. What's the function of keywords in the article?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know the purpose of keywords? Are you asking me the purpose of keywords?
Yes, ma'am. He is asking what is the purpose and function of the keywords usage in a paper.
Okay. Now let us say you are working. May I know what is the field you are working upon so that I can answer you in a better manner? What's the area of work?
Hello.
Hello.
Madam, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, my area of work, it is rural development.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, the keyword, the main function of keywords is that any search engine which receives a request for search can be readily picking your paper for that particular work. That means, now let us say you are working for rural development, and let us say particularly you are working for girl child education, or say nutrition for infants, and your actual work that you are working is iron, supplementation of iron, and less hemoglobin problem in infants. So now you are actually working upon less hemoglobin and the nutrition requirements, but your bigger picture is you are working for wholesome nutrition, you are working for resource equal distribution, you are working for rural resource accessibility, you are working for rural development. Now let us say somebody else, if let us say in your keywords you have only given rural development, okay, and you have not given that you are working on iron deficiency, you are not working upon you did not give the word nutrient deficiency, you did not give the word iron deficiency, you did not give the word hemoglobin, you did not give the word women, you did not give the word infant. Now let us say you did not give these words. You just have given rural development because you assume all of it comes under the umbrella of rural development. Then what happens? Now let us say I am a researcher who is working particularly on iron deficiency in Indian population. I give a search term in Google Scholar saying iron deficiency. Then how does the search engine function? The search engine functions by the keywords that it can glance through in the minimalistic amount of time. So if the catchword is appearing in the keyword, then your paper will be listed in the first 50 searches or first 100 searches. If your keyword is not showing iron deficiency, even though your paper works on iron deficiency, then the search engine will list your paper in the order of sequence of finding your paper at position number 2000, 3000, 4000. So when I'm going through my Google search, I will not go till a 10th window, 14th window, 15th window to pick a paper. I would preferably pick the papers which appear in the first 50 slot, first 100 slot. So the purpose of keyword is to make your paper visible as quickly as possible for any search engine, because it will increase your audience, it will increase the readability of your paper, it will increase the citation of your paper. So I hope I have answered your query.
Hello, ma'am. Am
Yeah.
I audible? Hello?
Yes. Yes,
Hello,
yes, you
ma'am.
are audible.
Hello,
Yeah.
ma'am. I am a research scholar from history field. So I have a question regarding publishing in a reputed journal. In order to publish in reputed journal, we have to be very sophisticated in language. Sometimes we are very good and strong, but simple in our ideas. And regarding language, we have some problems. So could you please throw some light regarding that?
Yeah, so I just take you back to the slide which I have shown you, the support services. Majority of the journals which are reputed journals, they provide English language support. Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid. So like I have listed over here, sources you can bank upon when writing your paper. So there is this portion here, Springer English Language Support Services. So they provide support to the authors. So you will have to check whether it is paid or non-paid, and also if it is paid, they have different categories for different countries, for developing countries, for underdeveloped, for developed. So you can go to the site and check up and see whether your journal provides English language support services. Many of the journals do that. Nature research, editing services. So this is one platform that helps you in language and also formatting. And this is one software, Mendeley software, so which helps you in formatting your references, bibliography. So there are multiple author support services which the reputed journals provide. So if you go to the journal website and look for the author support services, you will get them. You will find them.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This is Dr. Syed Zamir Ahmed.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who want to get qualified questions regarding today's session? If not so, we'll end this session.
Yeah, it is very lengthy. I think I started at 11:30 and now it is 1:30. So it went for 2 hours.
Yes, right, ma'am. So
Yeah.
let us end this session. On behalf of KS Rangasamy College of Technology and Nature Science Foundation, Coimbatore, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. S. Krishna Sundhari, Professor, Department of Biotechnology, Jaypee Institute of Information Technology, Noida, for accepting our invitation and providing a platform for all the participants about research and how to write a research article. I thank you so much, ma'am, for extending your support to our institution. Thank you so much. And we need your support throughout this session, throughout this series.
I will surely provide what I can. And
Right.
thank you very much. Thank you very much once again for the organizers, Dr. Murugan, Pon Murugan especially, and all the organizers for providing me with this platform. And I hope all those participants have a take home. They are benefited by the talk, and I hope I am able to meet their requirements and expectations. And I'm open for discussion and communication at any point of time. So once again, I'm flashing my communication ID. So I would like to thank you all and see you once
Thank
again.
you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
This is for the participants. Let us end this session today. So you will be getting a new link for tomorrow's session. You can join for tomorrow's session by 9:30 onwards. Let us hope for a good. I think you might have all submitted your assignment topic. Hello. Yes.
Sir, organizer, we have one request for you.
Right, okay, what?
Sir, can you share this PPTs into our emails, in WhatsApp group?
Sir,
Right,
not
we will,
only PPT, sir, if you share the recording of the whole session, sir.
yeah, we will share the recording.
Hello, sir.
Unfortunately, some of the
Yeah,
speakers.
we need the audio recording also, sir. We need the audio recording also. Otherwise, it is not that beneficial. And also.
Right, okay, regarding the PPTs, some of the speakers have requested not to share any PPTs due to the violation of patent rights. We will be sharing the video sessions that has been recorded, that will be shared to you all. Once, because it has much data, it's around 800 to 1 GB it is consuming. We are all discussing we can create a cloud appearance so that we could share everything to the participants.
Sir, one more thing. Sir, one more thing. We have shared the broad maybe area in the form of research topic, like assignment topic. Shall we create some change, maybe micro change in our topic in future before 15?
Yeah, you could have some changes. You could have some
Yes,
changes.
sir.
Little changes
Yes, sir,
can be
yes.
accepted, but make sure that the articles that you want to prepare is the best,
Yes,
so that the publisher accept it, because the publisher terms and condition that there should
Yes.
be no plagiarism.
Definitely.
So I think you have already got the terms and conditions from the
Yes, sir.
LSF, right? So
Yes.
be prepared with that. So
Yes,
we
sir.
don't want the publisher to reject our proposal.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for this.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Today's lecture is very important for the publishing. So in order to complete the assignment, it's really helpful if you share these slides and all the lectures in today, so that we could
Yes,
complete,
sir. Slides
we
are
have
already
to take.
shared, sir. If you can share us, mail us.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Nitin Kumari and Shruti Banerjee, we will request the speakers regarding this. If they permit us to share the slides, we will share it. Okay.
And today's session was very nice, ma'am. This is my heartfelt thank to Professor S. Krishna Sundhari. It was a wonderful, informative session, ma'am.
Right. Thank you, Shruti Banerjee. Hope the forthcoming session will be very helpful for each and every participants from different domains. We are making sure that all the participants get benefited by it, and we have already made some changes between the speakers and the topics that was been proposed to provide during the session. Right. We will hope for the best. And we will meet by tomorrow morning. You will get the session ID by today evening. Thank you so much and have a nice day. We will end the session by now. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation.
Feedback. Feedback of each session link will be